look, if you went to medical school, you learned how to be a good practitioner.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you were taught, how to be a really good practitioner. But they never taught you any financial skills. They never taught you how to be an executive. They never taught you how to be an owner. Exactly.
Zippo.
Fear stops us from achieving our true greatness. Are you a professional woman who is feeling stuck, unmotivated, or burned out? Are you worried about your wellness? Are you letting fear stop you from crushing your goals? If you answered yes to any or all of these, then this is the podcast for you. Dr. Charmaine Gregory, night shift emergency physician, burnout thriver, and wellness champion, along with everyday heroes just like you, will explore how to face fear in our lives and emerge victoriously.
Hey, thanks for checking out this episode. Be sure to click the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you get notified when the next video comes out. It only takes 2 seconds to make 2 clicks. So let's do it. Let's get back to the video. Hello, Fearless Freedom Tribe. It is Dr. G, and this week we have Eric Miller. And Eric is going to tell us all about himself and what he is up to. And we are going to get down to our conversation.
Well, my name is Eric Miller, and I like to call myself a financial advocate for practice owners. And I specialize in working with mostly healthcare professionals that have their own private practice, and really helping them with their personal finances and really getting that in order. Because I learned a long time ago that we're living in a financial system right now that was not built for most people's success. And so they really have to do things a little bit differently, I think, than what they've been taught if they really want to be able to succeed financially. So when I first started out as a financial advisor, God, that was like 20 something years ago. I'm aging myself right now. I realized that most people, especially practice owners, were very much underserved financially. They just weren't getting the kind of financial advice that I thought that they actually needed. Gotcha. And so that really kind of opened my eyes. And the reason being that I think what ends up happening is that most advisors forget that for a practice owner, their biggest investment is their practice. It's their business. And I found that they were vastly underutilizing that for the benefit of their household. So, we simply really try to have owners focus on how they can, create a more valuable business, but it has to be able to serve the needs of the household, because the household, the way I look at it, is like the parent company. It's like the most important thing is your household. And the civilization is built upon family units and households. So that's what we address to make sure that the household is taken care of.
Awesome. Yeah, that's very interesting. So you have to let us know, how did you so 20 years ago, how did this even become a thing? Like, how did you even get interested in that? Because that's not a common, common thing. I'm just going to help professionals to figure out, they're getting raked over the coals based on, what they're making, and they have no clue. Like, was there a sentinel event, or was there something that kind of brought you into the space? Like, how did it happen?
Well, I'd been like a traditional advisor, for a period of time. I don't know if you had any experience, or your audience has experience with the financial advisors, but most of them, which are well-meaning and good-intentioned people, but they get paid on how much money you have. I mean, they get paid on how much in assets that you have. And, there came a moment where I was like, well, I don't really want to do that. That's not really my goal. I want to actually improve someone's financial condition. So there came a time where I was like, okay, I got to move to, I ended up moving to Florida, and we started a practice down in Florida. It was 2008. If you remember 2008.
Oh, yes. That was when we had a very tumultuous year financially.
The very first financial collapse. So we had the bright idea, hey, let's start a financial planning firm in 2008. Oh, that's a good idea. So, and we did, and we decided that we wanted to work in a niche, and I always wanted to work with I wanted to work with business owners, practice owners. I wanted to, but my first look, I wanted to work with people who gave care that I believed in, like that actually did things for other people, and that kind of care I actually believed in. I wanted to help those kinds of people. So we started working with, veterinarians and other types of doctors, and I just found out really early on, like, wow, you think of like a doctor, you should have all this money and you don't. What's going on here? There's some problems that are underlying this. So we
you
just
said it again for the people in the back.
Yeah, doctors weren't necessarily good with money. They were good with their practice. They were good as technicians. They were good practitioners, but they weren't they weren't trained on the owner and executive functions very well. And that is one thing that I kind of dug into, but they just weren't utilizing their business as they should for the benefit of their household. So that's where the journey began. And it was, we started working with, one doctor, and now we're, over 300. And I just like working in the healthcare business and in the healthcare industry. I like working with caregivers. My mom was a caregiver. I like working with caregivers. I want to help them because I know that they're there and they're a very important part of the community. And if I can help them get their financial house in order, then I feel like I'm doing my part. How's that?
No, that's awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's great. And so now, so you see this pain point, and you're basically bridging that gap and helping, sounds like, some incredible amount of individuals. Yeah. And in turn, as a result of that, you are now having a pretty wide impact, right? Because one doctor, that's like a couple thousand people impacted, and 300 doctors, that times a couple thousand people. So that's a lot. That's a big impact. Okay. So that's awesome. Now you mentioned that, you also kind of looked around and you said you started to reevaluate your why.
Yeah.
Right. And comparing it to what was the typical why in the industry is what I'm hearing from you. I'm just, you can tell me if I'm totally wrong about this or not, but you said that in general, in your industry, you are basically compensated based on how much your client has asset wise. Right. Yeah.
That's it.
And so, and then you from this, you're like, well, wait a minute. That doesn't seem like a very fulfilling or impactful thing. Like, yeah, it's great that this person has this much amount of assets. And yeah, I guess I could go after a bunch of people and be kind of like a shark and figure out who has, tremendous amount of wealth and then try to manage it. Or I could go and see, how can I make an impact beyond just, that monetary reward that comes from the job. And I think that in and of itself is a huge revelation, like a huge thing to come to, because most people don't ever have that kind of epiphany, right? They do their job or they do their thing, but they never ever dig deeper and try to figure out a deeper meaning or a deeper purpose. So that was the first thing that I noticed from what you told me. And then the next thing is, with that realization, so now you are no longer in the box of your colleagues, right? You're trying to step outside the box. Now, whenever we step outside the box, go against the grain, go upstream, everybody's going downstream. Whenever we do that, there is always going to be some element of either pushback or rejection or naysaying or all the things. And that those kind of negative feedback items can trigger fear within us.
Yep.
So I am curious to hear how when you were about to make this move. So first of all, you did a gangster move. You basically said, I'm starting this firm, and you didn't even realize at the time that you were starting the firm that you were doing it under the most interesting circumstances that could not have been predicted, right? A crash in the market, right. But nobody predicts that. And so you, first of all, you're starting that, and you're based on something that is dependent on the market being fantastic. So, so there's that. And then the next thing is you're also going against the grain to satisfy or to pursue a deeper why. something much more, almost something that is not unique. It's not purely capitalistic, right? Because I mean, most of the time, like we're in a situation, we want to make money. That's like the whole point.
Especially my industry.
Right. So I'm saying, and so even more for you, right? Obviously, for
Yeah.
me, that's not a thing because I didn't go into medicine to make money, because you can make a whole lot more money in a lot of other things and less stress.
Yeah, for sure.
But you know, so you're in this space, and the space is driven by capitalism, but yet you are driven now by altruism, right? Because you want to make somebody's life better. So you
for sure
are faced by, what the heck, this ridiculous crash, right? Starting a business. So that's already nerve-wracking, and that's already fear riddled, right? And you're also going against the grain of the mainstream of your peers. How did you deal with that, man? Like, what did you do?
Like anything else, you know, I actually have a term for what this is called. We call it the resistance wave. And that's the thing that you encounter anytime that you decide to improve yourself, any kind of expansion that you try to do. Of course, you're going to be met immediately with resistance, with criticism, with opposition. I call it we call it the financial resistance wave, because it happens when people do it financially. But to your point, it happens all in life. Every time you make a decision to expand. That's the way I look at it, because this universe is coming at you from 180 degrees. Okay. Every single day it's coming at you 180 degrees, trying to beat you down. And anytime you try to do anything that's going to improve yourself, your advancement, whatever that reach is in life, you're going to get hit in the mouth. Okay. And it's actually a good sign. And I had the toughest time with that when I was dealing with clients and myself. It's like, did I make the wrong decision? Because every time I look, I got something else that's trying to push me back. And I finally realized, no, it's a sign of success. If you're not getting pushback, you're not pushing hard enough outward. And
love it.
That's what I realized and I didn't know it at the time, because, when I made the decision to move to Florida, I drove down here, I sold my house, my car, my dog, got rid of everything, drove down here, my engine blew up like when I was 5 miles away. I didn't know any of this stuff was happening, right? I just knew that it was just like massive pushback. Okay.
Right.
But as I started to help, when I really started to help my clients with their personal finances, and I would say, look, we have to do this. You have to increase your necessity, and you have to try to expand. And they ran into it when I was telling them to do this. And I saw the phenomenon, and it was very interesting things that would always occur. Their equipment would break down, for really weird reasons. They would get unexpected tax bills. They would get, a key employee would lose all this weird stuff that I'm seeing. Like, what the hell is going on here? And it happened with me as well. As I was expanding the firm, we would just get pushed back and relationships go south. And but all I can say is that if you feel like you're on a righteous path, it's easy to handle that opposition. If you're feeling like you're doing something that is righteous, divine, virtuous, whatever the terms you want to use, if you feel like you're doing something like that, it's super easy to go through the barrier. It's not easy. If you're going to be a beast, you're going to have scars.
Yes,
and you're gonna have
many scars.
Yeah. So I like to see all these people always talk about, hey, I've made it. I got 20 million, 30 million, whatever that is. I'm glad that they have that. But what interests me more is all the scars that people had along the way, because that's what I think was real to everybody. Like I had to go through this. I had a partnership with one of my partners that broke up along the way. I had all these things that occurred while I was trying to grow our firm, and I'm still going through. I mean, I'm not, I don't feel like I've made it, but I know that I'm on what I think is a righteous path, because I'm helping the people that I want to help, and I'm doing it in a way that I think is real. Is it the best system? I don't know. I just know it works. I know it's workable. I know people improve, and that's what's important to me, to see that. And it's not just all money motivated. I don't think you can operate just money motivated and be a business owner. Like, I know that there's this, this concept that business owners are just money motivated, and that idea. But maybe some of the big like corporate giants unfortunately have that mindset. But most of the business owners that I've ever met will put their employees first. They don't take profits out. They will sacrifice themselves for the betterment of their employees. Those are the kinds of people that I see. Maybe it's because they're healthcare, they're healthcare workers or healthcare professionals. Maybe that's why. I don't know, but that's what's real to me is seeing that.
Yeah. No, I noticed some great points, and I love that you have a name for that. What do you call it? Resistance.
Let's just call it it's a resistance wave. Like
resistance wave. Yeah.
It's the resistance wave. It's like, and it comes at you. The best example I use is if you ever saw that movie with Tom Hanks when he's on the island, the Castaway.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Castaway.
Is it Castaway? Yeah, Castaway. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he's trying to get off on that little whatever raft that he built, but he kept the waves just keep on, and he finally gets whatever he makes up a sail and is able to get over them. That's what life is like as you go through, whatever you're trying to do. You're gonna get hit with some way. You make a decision, I'm gonna do something. Immediately you're gonna get opposition, criticism, pushback. Okay, great. You overcome that, and then you get to another level. And then when you're about to hit another level, guess what? You're gonna hit another wall of resistance. Okay. But it'll be, you'll be able to recognize it and see it this time and overcome that. But I think you never really get to a plateau. I mean, if you're trying to get to a plateau, I think that's you can't in this life. I don't think so. I think you're just trying to, you want to just keep improving so that, I mean, there's no absolutes. I mean, I don't think anybody's you're never going to get to a perfect like vision of yourself, but you can get pretty close.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, it's Dr. G, and I just wanted to take a quick moment to thank you for listening to this episode. I'm so honored to have you here with me. Did you know that I can help you to get your own podcast started? With my podcasting launch course for professionals, I walk you through everything you need to know about starting a podcast. I'm with you every step of the way, from sign up to launching your show, with 5 episodes ready to go. There's a done for you version that's also available. If you would just rather just do recordings and leave the behind the scenes work up to us, then that one is definitely for you. But either way, we've got your back here at Fearless Freedom with Dr. G. Oh, if you already have a show and you need production services, we have monthly plans available for you. So check out the links in the episode show notes for more information. Let's get back to the show. Yeah, and so that is huge, because I think a lot of times when people are trying to do something like that, where you're actually, going against what people are typically doing, it's hard, right? Because, what you see is all of the success stories. Nobody really talks about the failures, how many times they had to keep getting back up, right? Nobody talks about that. Well, maybe Gary Vee does, because he talks a lot about that stuff. But I mean, in general, people don't talk about it. And you don't ever really see the ugly bits of the journey for those who have success. And so when you make a decision that's radical and you're going against what everybody else is doing because you have a deep belief like you did, it takes a lot to battle that resistant wave, to be like Tom Hanks and say, you know what, I'm going to try every iteration of this boat until I can get off this island. Like, it takes a lot. And, it's like a transformation of the fear, the energy, like the negative energy that sometimes comes along with fear. It's like transforming that thing into positive energy that's going to propel you over the wave, to get you to the solution, to get you to the point where you're not gonna stop going, right? Like, you didn't get thwarted by your engine blowing up, right? Like, you still went to Florida.
I mean, what I'm saying? What's the hardest part about it? I think, it's not the people that give some of the criticism and opposition that I really don't know. I don't really care about their opinions. I think the hard part for people is it comes from people who you love and respect sometimes. That's where it's hard. That's where it makes you confused. That's where it makes you kind of second guess yourself, is when you get it from the unexpected people. That's the trick right there. And if you can overcome that and still kind of stick to your guns, then you're going to make it. Saying, F you to someone that is giving me criticism that I don't really know and I don't really care about. That's easy. I can do that all day long,
But it's your brother or your sister or
but if
your
it's
best friend.
or a mentor, someone that you thought really had your best interest in mind, but apparently doesn't, that's where it gets hard, So that's where you have to really identify what the intentions of people are, even if you feel like they're close to you. And if they're not, if they can't match your intensity, if they can't match your purpose, if they can't match all that stuff, then they can be friends, but they can never be allies.
Yes. Oh, that's beautifully put.
They can do that. They'll just never be allies, and there is a difference between the two, for sure.
Yes, certainly.
For sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. It's a great pearl. I think the sooner, like you said, the sooner we realize that fact, because it's a fact. I mean, these are facts. The sooner that we realize that, the better off we are, and the faster we'll get to our goal, right? Because you can easily be very derailed by that, right? Because like you said, particularly if it's somebody who you respect that has been providing you with professional advice or something like that for a while, for them to all of a sudden say, oh, absolutely not, this is not a right path for you, and discourage you from where you think is the right path, it really does impact you,
or
it takes a strong mind.
Worse. Yeah. Even like from a financial perspective, you'll get, someone that says, hey, I want to go start this business, or I want to go start this practice. And, and then you get maybe a parent or maybe someone that they went to medical school with, and like, no, you don't want to do that. You just, just keep doing what you're doing, and, work and then they kind of squash that dream for that person. Why not let them go out there and try? Why not let them go out there and, and make an impact? And if they fail, so what? But at least you did it, giving it a try, as opposed to just listening to somebody like that. But that a lot of the stories that I've had with successful practice owners has been that. It's been, I was told by, a wealthy uncle, or, maybe a rich parent, like, just don't want to take that kind of risk financially. And, every time that they did, they always ended up, having more income, more assets, and more resources. Absolutely. Because they made the decision to do that. So look, ownership's not for everybody. I get that. It really isn't. But, I think it is something that, it's good to try. Why
Absolutely.
not? I mean, but at the end of the day, we all run a business. All of us run a business. It's our household.
Yeah.
Our household is a business, and most people don't think they're business owners. And I'm like, well, you may not think you're a business owner, but you are.
Yes, indeed.
You have a household that has income, that has expenses, that has assets.
Yes.
You run a business, so get used to it. You might as well go out and do something else. I mean, you got a business right here with what you're doing. I mean, this is
absolutely.
This is cool. This is really cool.
Yeah. No, I'm a big fan of entrepreneurship. I have several businesses, but it is definitely something that's needed. I would say it isn't for everybody, like you said, absolutely, because of some of the things that you've already mentioned, right? Because you have to have a mental toughness, or if you don't immediately have it, you have to be willing to go through the things that will get you there. So you have to be working on yourself. You cannot rely on external forces to kind of like guide you through. You have to be the one to go get it. Right. And so that does make it not for everybody. But if you're that person who is a go-getter and is willing to work on yourself and is willing to, do the things, take a little bit of risk, the rewards are great. The rewards are tremendous.
I think they usually are in life when you do that. That if you do something that's purposeful and has risk associated with it, usually there's going to be pretty good rewards for that. So, it's just one of those things that I think you just have to take a jump every once in a while. But I think the skill set, look, if you went to medical school, you learned how to be a good practitioner. That's what you were taught, how to be a really good practitioner. But they never taught you any financial skills. They never taught you how to be an executive. They never taught you how to be an owner. Exactly.
Zippo.
So that's why, and that's probably and that's where, a lot of people think, well, I'm a failure because I'm like, no, you just never learned that.
Yes,
so
that's exactly it.
But there's plenty of people out there and plenty of, knowledge out there to learn how to be a good executive and be a good owner. It's not unknown. You just have to develop that skill set. And once you really dig into that, then you combine that with your skills as a practitioner, and you're unstoppable from that point on. Now you can build a business and build a team and those kinds of things. But, again, those are skills that they never taught in school. And I don't know why, because
so I'll tell you part of it. And I questioned that too, because I was kind of angry when I got done at medical school and everything. And I was like, why didn't we learn this? Why? I mean, even after you have completed your postgraduate training. So you do medical school and you have to do a residency in the specialty that you choose to do for your career. And even at the end of that, there is not fantastic advice given even during that time of what the options are for you. So a lot of times if you train at a place, and a lot of people train at places like this, at an academic center, you're going to be, and it's not their fault, they're kind of grooming you to be in academics, right? So they're grooming you to be an employee mindset.
Yeah.
You don't get that business education, or you don't get to see yourself as potentially becoming a free agent. The thought process is you will go and sign a contract, and then that you'll be locked into that contract for X amount of years, and that's how you'll run your career. That is the thought process, and it's not their fault, right? Because they're focusing on making sure that you have the skills necessary to care for patients, right? And so they're also in a framework that is employee-based. It's True. An employee-based framework. So they're not, it doesn't even occur to them to teach you about how to be a steward of your finances. It doesn't occur to them to figure out ways in which you can creatively leverage your skills for financial benefit, right? None of that stuff is discussed. The options are you sign a contract, and you live your life as whatever it is that you decided to do.
With $300,000 of debt right around your neck.
Or more. Yeah.
Probably more.
And people don't. And then in medical school, there is a finite amount of time. I get it. Finite amount of time to basically get you up to speed with the basis that you need in order to be able to go to residency. And so there's a lot of things that we don't get. So, but that one, I think maybe they should do at least one class. At least one.
I think they should have some kind of
there should be
personal finance, something.
Yeah, something, particularly since you're taking out that kind of money, right?
The stress.
It's a lot of stress.
The stress of money and not having it and of debt. I mean, debt is it has a spiritual impact on people.
Oh yeah, it's like an anvil around your neck.
Yeah, it's the weight of obligation. I've never seen anything like it. And so I think they really need to kind of look at that and see, how that affects, in some industries, it's amazing, the rate of suicide that I see in some of these medical industries, dental and veterinary, you'd be amazed at those two industries alone.
Yes.
And a lot of it has to do with money. A lot of it has to do with money. So that's a kind of another reason why it's just that's just crazy. Why would you want to be in that condition. And so that's I think another reason to do it. But yeah, to your point, I'd like to see them expand the curriculum just to include some personal finance. But I see your point. It's like, that's not their focus. Their job is to get you.
Yes, they got to get you up to speed with the basics.
And get to speed so you can get out and you can do your thing. I do understand that. So I don't think it's like a nefarious reason why they're doing it.
No. I really don't think so either.
Yeah.
It just turns out that it is that way. And so so this is another thing too. Like, so you will have people who are pretty savvy. Like, so I could think of two people actually that I went to medical school with. One gentleman actually had gotten his PharmD before he went to medical school. So while he was in medical school, and I went to a state school, so it was not super expensive. So you could potentially, and I didn't come out with very much debt. So like you could potentially like work or have saved or whatever, and then be able to kind of diminish the amount that you owe at the end by paying as you go. So what he did was he just worked as a pharmacist, and he basically like paid for medical school while he was in it. And then when he got to the clinical years, when he couldn't, he didn't have as much time to work, he'd already, made a big dent in the first 2 years. So it wasn't as much that he came out with. And so that is huge because that makes a difference. Now, the other person that I can think of, what she did was, so she took a year off between second year and third year, because first and second year we do all didactic stuff. Well, most schools, there's some schools that are a little bit different, but like most schools, you'll do didactics for the first 2 years, basic sciences, I call it. And then the second 2 years, you're actually doing the practical stuff. So you're going through the different areas of medicine and, seeing live patients and getting an experience with that and learning about the subjects on the job. We have an opportunity between the two segments to sometimes go and do other things. So my one colleague, what she did was she went and got her MBA the same school.
Okay.
And I saw how that really benefited her, because when she got done, she did not have the same mentality as the rest of us, right? Like she did not have that mentality of, yes, I'm just going to go and get into a contract and et cetera, et cetera. Like her viewpoint was different because she started to see the business of medicine, and she started to see how she could leverage not only her skill set as a physician, but also, from the business side, which is huge because the majority, and the majority of dentists, doctors, veterinarians, et cetera, like the majority of us who are like grad professionals in healthcare, we don't think about that. All we're thinking about is how can we help our patients, right? So I'm trying to help if I'm a dentist, I'm trying to help my people have beautiful teeth. If I'm a veterinarian, I'm trying to help my animals. If I'm a doctor, I'm trying to help my people. You didn't go into it because you wanted to be able to manage the day-to-day of a business. Like you didn't go into it for that. So it's not even in your mindset, in your scope of thought. And so this is the reason why you are shocked when you get out and you look and you're like, whoa, what do you mean I owe $300,000? Right. Like in college, supposedly, I mean, I don't know. I went to college a long, long time ago because I'm not that young. Right. So, basically like, in college, I do remember, even though I didn't take out like a ton of loans because I got a scholarship, I do remember them saying for the loans that I did take out, they were like, this is something you have to pay back. Like they were very clear. Like they were like, this is what you're taking out. This is what you're going to have to pay back. Like they made it clear.
They did.
I kind of feel like when you go to med school, you're just super happy, or dental school or veterinary school, you're just so happy to have gotten in, because it's not like it's an easy thing to get into, right? In any of these, it's not super simple. Not everybody can just walk in there and do it. So you've already like you've done like the challenge, you've overcome the hurdles, and you've like rose to the challenge, and you've gotten acceptance. The last thing in your mind is like, oh crap, how am I going to pay for this? That's not even a thought for most people. They're just super happy that they're now going to get a chance to pursue their dream. And so that is another thing that puts us in a bad spot. So we're doing our thing, we're studying, we're learning our craft, and we get out, and then we see the first bill come, and we're like, oh snap, $300,000. Now what?
Plus you've been in school for 7 years, and you're like,
or more.
Right, I'm finally starting to make a little money here.
Yeah,
right?
and you're thinking I'm gonna buy a car, or even
Yeah.
just gonna like buy a new piece of clothing, because you've been suffering, like not suffering like hungry, but like you've been scrimping because you don't have a limited income. So now it's like, okay.
And that's where I'm like, if you can just live like a student for another 3 to 4 years and really learn your craft and really be productive. And now, because you can produce now, okay, now you're getting out there, now you can, whatever you're doing, you can really be productive and just really attack like the especially if you have a lot of debt, just like really attack it for like that 3 or 4 year period. Then I promise you the next 15 to 20 years will be so much better. It'll be so much better. Okay. But if you get out of school and you look at, I have $500,000 of debt here, and then I'm going to go buy the $600,000 home and the car, you're just going to live a leased lifestyle for the next 20 years. Okay. You'll apparently be wealthy. Okay. You'll look the part because you got enough income where you can buy the nice car and you can have the nice house, but you're essentially going to be a financial slave. Okay. Because you're trapped. Okay. Because you have to work every single day and get up. Okay. Because the rent's due. And that's where I'm trying to get people to especially that want to get into ownership, when you come out of school, just continue to live like a student for at least another 2 or 3 years, depending on how much debt that you have. Really learn how to be a good practitioner, really good one, productive, be an asset to somebody else. Maybe you can find another owner that's looking to exit out at some point in time. You can take over the practice. There's all kinds of things you can do. Just learn to be an asset, not a liability, personally. And I think that'd be my best advice to people that are coming out of school with all that debt and it's unpopular. People hate it when I tell them that, because they're like,
but it's real. Those are facts.
It's like, I'm just going to wait. I'm going to wait until the government forgives it, and then I'll have to pay it back.
Dear.
And I'm
Oh dear.
That just gets in a whole nother, we can go down a rabbit hole on that one, but I try to acknowledge, and I know that, it's a different world than when we went to school, when, we didn't come out with, came out with tens of thousands of dollars of debt, but not hundreds of thousands of dollars.
100,000. Yeah.
But, you borrowed the money.
Yes.
Pay it back.
Yeah.
You borrowed it, you got to pay it back. I just think that your integrity is more important than anything else in that respect. And I think that you will see that, because I heard a couple other your podcasts, you do enough right things, you're going to get that back at some point.
Absolutely.
In time.
Absolutely.
You're going to get it back in spades at some point in time. So if you do the right thing more often than not, then it's going to pay you back.
So it sounds like it sounds. Yeah. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say you don't always have to be. Look, life has to be a little fun too. I'm not one of these guys that's just like you got to save every dollar that you make and pay everything off and have nothing left over for yourself. I'm like, no. You got to celebrate your achievements at the same time. But you have to be more. You have to be right 51% of the time. That's it. I don't have to be right 10 out of 10 times. Just got to be right like 51% of the time, and I'm gonna win. And financially speaking, as long as the majority of your money is going towards productive goals, and is going to create more value for yourself and in the future, you can still have what you want to have. You really can, but just make a majority of your money going towards things that are going to increase your net worth and your income and your assets. There you go.
No, absolutely. And so this is all kind of like money mindset psychology, right? So in listening to you, I'm hearing that you do a lot of that with your clients. Like it sounds like there's a lot of psychology also involved in your work. Is that a true assessment, or?
Yeah, it is, just because I'm constantly trying to battle their own self-sabotage. Right, because we do tend to self-sabotage ourselves. So, my job is to make sure it's very clear on what their ideal financial condition looks like. Okay. Like when you see a human body, you know what it should look like optimally. Right.
Yes,
and when you're
correct.
okay, so financially speaking, I know what your financial life should look like optimally. You should have a household that has an abundance of income coming in from multiple sources. You should be free of all bad debt. Your assets should be protected from taxes, inflation, and lawsuits. You should have, if you have a business, it should be profitable, sustainable, and transferable, and you should have time to pursue whatever life goals that you have. I dare say that would be an optimum condition for most of us, right?
Yes, I was gonna say.
So, yeah.
All of those things,
good,
like
right?
you could take like one or two of them, but like all of them, wow, that's pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, but that's what it should look like. And anything that, if you're not in that condition, there's just a departure from where you should be. So, my job is to make sure people, have what that end result should look like, and then all the obstacles that are going to come in their way, try to navigate those. Setting up like the systems and the habits are not hard, like setting up the right accounts and setting up all the things that you need to do. That's not hard at all. It is when the resistance wave comes, how do you react? What do you do? Do you stop? Do you let it get the best of you? Or do you continue to push on? That's the job of an advisor, is to make sure that you don't make dumb doctor moves. How about that? That should be the name of the podcast right there.
I don't take
Dumb
offense
doctor
to that,
money,
because
right?
I know that right there is also facts.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to like finances. So totally get it. Yeah. There's always going to be a need for your expertise. I'm telling you, there's always going to be. So now you got to tell everybody how they can get in contact with you if they're interested in learning more about you or hiring you.
Yeah, so they can just go to the name of our firm is econologics.com, and you're probably like, wow, that's a really fancy word right there. It just means the skills and the study of the skills and practices of the management of the household. That whole word was a coined word we put together. But just go to econologics.com, and we have plenty of resources and downloads and books and videos and all those kinds of things that will help you with your finances.
And so I would ask you to just spell that out, only because in case people are not readily accessing the show notes, at least they'll have it.
Yeah, it's just spelled ECONOLOGICS, econologics.
Perfect.
.com.
Perfect. Awesome. Great conversation. Yeah, this has been quite this is a spot, because like I feel like we don't talk about this enough, because honestly, as you've noticed, we just don't think about it. We're too busy thinking about what we're doing to make the impact on those around us, from our craft, and not necessarily how we can be healthy, financially, so that we don't have the burden of the anvil on the neck, the debt and everything. So definitely appreciate all that you and your company does, because I feel like it's well needed, So I definitely hope that, with the earshot of this broadcast, that there will be some additional people reaching out to you, particularly to get your assistance and your expertise.
That'd be awesome.
That would be awesome, right?
Yeah, of course.
Oh my gosh. So we're at that point in the show where we're going to fill in the blanks. Are you ready? Are you ready for fill in the blanks? Okay. All right, cool. All right, here we go. The first one is, if I am fearless, I will.
If I am fearless, I will. Geez, what would that be? Oh, I got a good one. I would not be afraid to offend others in a righteous cause. If I'm fearless.
Love it.
Not be afraid to offend somebody else if I feel like my cause is righteous. If I'm fearless, that's good. Okay.
All right, cool. Yeah. And the next one is, to me, fearless freedom means.
Well, in this age of censorship, I'm going to say the the full expression of ideas is what fearless freedom means to me.
Gotcha. And then last but not least, my battle cry is
the way out is the way through.
The way out is the way through. Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Means you have to go. Yeah. You can't like go around. You can't avoid. If you want to get out, you got to go through something. I think we all have to do that.
I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's that whole hero's journey, the whole like entrepreneur life, like everything.
We're getting deep here. We didn't really even talk about dollars and cents, but you know what? Money is generally not like that. It does start at that mindset level first, and then philosophically going from there. But no, that was very much that was fun. I don't know how long we talked for, but that was very fun. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, you're very alive. You're very alive. Yeah.
People say that. I don't know. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Fearless Freedom with Dr. G. Again, I'm Dr. G. And if you like this episode, be sure to subscribe so that you can get notified of when the next episode is going to be. And also, I'll catch you next time. Have a great one. Be strong, be brave, and unleash your greatness.